Hi, everyone. Welcome to All Things Grants and Residencies. I'm going to walk through everything from the search to developing your ideas to the submit. I'm Lisa Kramer. I'm Residencies Grants and Residency Manager. We are glad you're here. Finding and applying for grants and residencies is a process. This is something you will likely do on and off throughout your life. Getting leads and tips from various resources and lots of people from different backgrounds, perspectives, and expertise is key to finding the right fit for you. I'm here to help you look at grant applications, no matter your discipline or project idea. I work to help you look at your proposals and your applications from different angles so you can make your case to an audience who may or may not be artists. In addition, there's an entire team at RISD Careers here to help both students and alumni. We are happy to meet with you through individual or drop-in appointments about grants, residencies, internships, or jobs. So what is a grant? The definition is quite simple: agree to give or allow. So a grant could be called a grant, scholarship, fellowship, an award. Sometimes these words are used interchangeably, but usually a grant is funding for a specific project that supports the funder's mission and interest. A scholarship is usually an award for past work to continue academic-based work. A fellowship usually has some sort of service commitment, such as teaching or an internship. An award can be any of these. Don't let the word grant scare you. It is really an umbrella word for opportunity, and it's really not that complicated. It's about finding a good match for like interests. The organization, the grantor, has an interest, the mission, and the money. They seek out people, grantees, with skills and experience to help promote, enhance, and engage in their mission. Sometimes you'll see this called an RFP, which just means request for proposal. You, the grantee, make the case for why you and why your project in some sort of application. They decide who and what they want to support, the award, and you, the grantee, fulfill the grant purpose and document the activities and results. A grant is an opportunity for focused time, studio space, and project funding to work, study, explore, research, implement an idea, travel, or network for undergraduates and graduate students from emerging to established artists. Every grant application is different. Some might take a day, some a few weeks, some a couple of months. Each funder has unique interests, eligibility requirements, and processes, but developing a proposal has a number of steps in common: search, research, plan, develop, write, submit, wait, and learn. Let's start with the search. The best place to start is with RISD's Careers website. You will find all things grants and residency here. I'm not going to review everything in detail. I'll touch on the highlights to get you started. Always start closest to home. So let's first look at RISD Careers Managed Grant page. These managed grants are grants RISD Careers has some connection to. The funding might come from RISD or is matched by RISD. RISD might nominate candidates, or RISD provides support through the application process. I'm going to run through them quickly to give you a sense of what's out there. Know that detailed information on all of these awards is found on RISD Careers Managed Grant page. First, the RISD Maharam Fellowship, $5,000 for an unpaid summer internship addressing social progress or safeguarding the environment, or both, in an organization where artists and designers are not usually found, or where you can contribute to the mission in a meaningful way. The Turner Fund is also an exciting $5,000 grant for a summer internship in performative art. Keep in mind, the definition of performative is quite broad. You can make your case for the performative angle of your practice. RISD Careers also offers smaller grants to support internships. $1,000 to $3,000 grants for enrolled students that support internships that are unpaid, low paid, or present financial challenges. RISD Careers partners with residencies to combine funding to offer opportunities for time and space for your work at Anderson Ranch in Colorado, Gohegan in Maine, Math MoCA in North Adams, Massachusetts. We also manage the Wingate Lamar Fellowship, an incredible flexible opportunity for seniors and fifth-year students who work in craft, $15,000. Keep in mind, the grants I've mentioned are grants managed by RISD Careers. There are other grants and awards offered by other departments at RISD. We've included a few of these at the bottom of our managed grant page. Do stay on top of what's going on in your department and on campus. And then there's Fulbright, my favorite managed grant. However, I won't go into detail as this is a presentation of its own. So just a little bit about Fulbright. Fulbright is primarily a cross-cultural engagement opportunity for fully funded 9 to 12-month independent study research projects in 140 plus countries. You design your own projects and develop host country affiliations. It is a complicated grant with lots of moving parts. Know that you can apply through RISD up to 3 years after graduation. RISD students and alumni do well in this competition, with 114 awardees who've explored their creative projects in 46 different countries. On the RISD Fulbright webpage, you'll find two important documents to help you through the process: RISD's checklist and deadline, and RISD's getting started. We also offer a RISD Fulbright info session in the spring semester. Keep in mind, if you are applying through RISD, you have to meet our internal deadlines. This is an intensive process. We are here to help, but we have to keep all our applicants on track. We often say that once you apply for a Fulbright, other grants are easy. Also, when looking for inspiration, go to our RISD Fulbright alumni website. You will find project summaries, stories, and photos to get you motivated. Moving on, beyond RISD, there are numerous grant resources with lists and databases of opportunities, which is great, but it can be overwhelming. They tend to serve you best when you have that project in mind or know what you need. Consider some keywords and then jump in, start poking around, and see where the search takes you. These are some of the best search sites for artists and designers: Creative Capital, Hyperallergic, Candid. Hyperallergic and Creative Capital have lots of announcements of exciting opportunities. They also have lists organized by upcoming deadlines to help you stay on track. And most state and regional arts agencies have grants for individuals. These agencies will likely require that you are a resident for a certain number of years. You may be in transition now, but wherever you end up, remember to check and see what's going on in your state. These resources are fantastic, but there's no magic potion. You have to make the search your own. Your grant and residency search is unique to you. So in your search, in addition to these online resources, get creative. Ask your professors, where have they found funding for projects? Where have their students? Faculty are often the best sources of discipline-specific grants. Ask your classmates, peers, other artists and designers. What did they find? What actually worked for them? Hearing from others like you will make it real and show you it is possible. Find and review the resumes of artists that you are interested in and admire. Search for their website, find their resume, and see what awards they have received. Build a library of opportunities for now and later. Once it is on your mind, you will start hearing about opportunities. And there will be some that you aren't eligible for right now, and some you'll find that you just missed the deadline. Keep track of the opportunities you are ready to apply for now, the ones for next year, and the ones you don't want to forget about in the future when you are ready. For example, this is a simple Excel spreadsheet. You could have tabs for time, now, after graduation, 10 years from now, or you could have tabs for type of grant or residency. Note that I'm not organizing by due date, but rather when I want to start working on the grant. If the grant is due in October, starting in October isn't likely going to help you. Factor in plenty of lead time. To give you an idea of how your list will build over time, check out the artist Everett Pimpkin's list. Google search with the keywords Big Artist List and Everett Pimpkin, and you will get to this article in Hyperallergic. Click on the Big Artist Opportunities list. There are 500 opportunities on her list. You will create your own unique list over time, but check out our list, not only to get ideas on how to track, but also to get information on opportunities. This slide is specifically for international students. You know more than anyone how challenging it is to find funding for education or projects outside your home country. It is true that most funders in the US focus on US citizens, but not all, and especially residencies are open to international students. Do search and ask around. Ask the financial aid office at any school you're going to or planning to go to. Ask your college departments like research, academics, and of course the Career Center. And know that grants RISD funds are open to international students. Ask organizations you and your family members are connected to. Search the online databases like Candid. Google search on grants for international students and you will get lists of ideas. And if the citizenship eligibility is not clear, don't hesitate to email and ask. Find that out right away. On to residencies. Residencies, like grants, are also individually unique. They could be for an enrolled student, emerging artist, or a mid-career artist. They could be totally open for you to work. They could come with a work component, or they could be theme-based, asking you to explore a specific issue. They can be found all over the world, on islands, in the mountains, on farms, and on ships. Most are merit-based and offer grants to pay residency fees, or some sort of work exchange. Some may even provide a stipend for supplies. Start your search here, again, at RISD Careers website, under Artist Resources. You will find all things residencies here, including our top search sites. The Artist Communities Alliance, the ACA, is by far the best way to start, as this is an association of residencies who have met certain standards. Go to the directory, then the residencies search, and here you can enter your criteria and start your search. You likely know the biggies: the Whitney in New York, Penland in North Carolina, the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown. But here you might find some of the smaller, lesser known, super interesting residencies, such as this residency in a barn in Southeast New York State. Their mission is to bring art, education, and community together to broaden economic and cultural perspectives and respect. This one is in a living museum, a secondhand store in North Carolina. This residency at the Kohler Art Center in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, combines art and industry in innovative ways. This one is right in our own backyard, 2-week to 1-month residencies throughout the year on Nantucket Island. There are residencies in our national parks from Hawaii to the Grand Canyon, where you might work alongside staff and advance your practice while being immersed in amazing nature. And there are international opportunities. Here is one in Nigeria that has both an urban and a rural location. Here is one in beautiful Martinique, which welcomes visual artists, musicians, writers, philosophers, and curators. And here's a theme-based residency in Norway that seeks to raise awareness, debate, and problem solving around climate change, geopolitics, and migration. Keep in mind that international residencies can be expensive, especially considering you will most likely have to pay for airfare too. Do ask about financial support if it is not easily found on their website. Sometimes they may have support, but they just don't advertise it. If you haven't, be sure to sign up for to receive the RCA newsletter. You'll receive a notice of opportunities and links to residency news, articles, and advice. Also, on the same resources page, I want to point out a very helpful worksheet. Go to funding, fees, and fellowships. In addition to helpful funding tips on this page, you will find an Excel worksheet that walks you through developing a residency budget, which you can download and make your own. It will help you think through your financial needs, not only for a residency, but also maybe a project grant or even setting up a studio. Lastly, in residencies, you will find more helpful application advice on the RISD Careers Artist Resources page. Do consider that grants and residencies have deadlines and are often on annual cycles. If you need project money quickly, consider crowdsourced funding. On the RISD Careers crowdsourced funding page, you will find advice to help you consider the options and build your campaign. The second step is research. Once you find an opportunity, research it carefully. The application could be quite simple. It could be 6 images of your work and a brief artist statement. Or the application could be quite complicated with many application pieces and narrative like Fulbright or any government grant. I'm going to use the RISD Maharam Fellowship as an example, which again is found on our RISD Managed Grants webpage. First, know the deadline, the date, the time, and the time zone. This is usually a hard deadline without exceptions. Most grants are on annual cycles. If you miss the deadline, make note for next year. And keep checking. Things change from year to year, opportunities and due dates. Review the eligibility requirements. Most guidelines will be quite specific. Is it for enrolled students or alumni? Is it discipline specific? Do you have to live in a certain city or state? Does the project have to benefit a certain community? If you find you are not eligible now, make note of the grant for the future. Understand the grantor's interests. Pull out key phrases from the guidelines. For Maharam, those might be working with non-artists and designers with different perspectives, stretching beyond one's current skills. Consider and address these key points in your proposal. In fact, write them at the top of your working document so you are sure to hit these points. Know your audience. What is important to them? Who do they want to benefit? And who will be reviewing your application? Whether it's artists or community members will make a big difference. Learn from past grant recipients. Find out who they are. What was their background? What were their projects? Usually you can find information on past grantees on the organization website. You may even be able to reach out to them for advice. We find that past grantees are often grateful for the opportunity they received and happy to talk with applicants. Understand all the application components well in advance. Let's look at the possible application components. The application form. I mentioned this first because this often is, but should not be last minute. Know what fields are going to be there. Know what you will need, and don't let this easy stuff trip you up at the end. Narrative. Usually there is some sort of narrative required. It could be a proposal, artist statement, personal statement, or essay. It could have few limitations or have very specific questions. And check the space limit. It makes a big difference if the count is by words or by characters. Timeline. If they request a timeline, it most likely does not have to be super specific, day to day or even week to week, but rather in the first month. in the first few months, in the first quarter. This is where you can prove that your project is feasible. This is where the reader can see how your project could happen. Be as detailed as reasonably possible. But you also want to show that you are not too rigid. Find a balance between showing a plan, yet also openness and flexibility. Recommendation letters. Reach out to recommenders early and give them a timeline. Provide a summary of the opportunity and of your proposal. Maybe even give them a template to work with. Consider who will provide the most meaningful support and make the right connection. And consider who will be timely. A RISD Fulbright applicant worked for months on their application. They submitted on time. The third recommender did not. They were not considered for Fulbright as their application was not complete by the due date. Also, don't forget to thank your recommenders and update them along the way. Resume. You may have this all ready to go, but you might need to tailor to the grantor or to the project. Know that RISD Careers has advisors who can help with resumes. Transcripts. Find out what the process is to receive your transcripts early, as it could take a week or even more, and check if they are asking for unofficial or official transcripts. Unofficial transcripts can pass through your hands and be uploaded by you. Official transcripts must be sent by the school to the organization directly. Know that scanning and adjusting process may take longer than you think due to watermarks and security on the transcript file. Also, once uploaded, your transcript should be neat and legible. You are visual artists. Visual materials. This may be the most important piece of the application, but it is the end of my list because this is what RISD students do well. So just a few quick tips. Follow the instructions. How many? Size, resolution, minutes. Make your case with effective, high-quality images. Consider every image counts. Every image should tell a story that supports your purpose and your path. You can have some detail shots, maybe an installation shot, but no throwaways. And use collage images sparingly. There can be a couple of collaged images where it makes sense, but too many is overwhelming and diminishes the look and feel of a whole piece as a single image. There really needs to be a reason for more than one view in an image. Otherwise, it seems like sneaking in additional pieces to gain an advantage. Make the connection to your grant project through your images. Your gallery-ready portfolio may not be the same as your project portfolio. Focus on the fit to what you are proposing in this application. Check to see if you can submit image descriptions and use this space. Not only title, size, and materials, tell us more. This is your chance to write about your work. Take advantage of the space. Curate the order thoughtfully for a cohesive portfolio feel. A curated portfolio shows organized thinking and thoughtfulness. It shows you care about this opportunity. Be sure to start strong to capture their attention and make them want to see more. Be sure to end strong, as that last image will stay on their mind as they move to other parts of your application. And in a group review, that last image may stay up on the screen as they talk about your application. You want that image to be strong and connected to what you are proposing. A final tip, print each image you are considering on half sheets of paper and tape them to a wall. Stand back and really look at them, and then move them around to find that compelling flow. In developing a budget, ask for what you need, not more or less. Reviewers are often experts, and they will know if it's over or under. They want to know, in a sense, that they are getting the most bang for their buck, but also that it is adequate because they want you to be successful. Here's the template that I made up. If you can choose the format, show your budget in a neat Excel spreadsheet or table. Show that you are professional. Show off your visual skills and ways of thinking. Show detailed descriptions where possible. Make sure the amounts add up, and make sure it matches the grant amount. Think of an application and the many components like a puzzle. There are many pieces that have to come together in just the right way at just the right time. Thoughtful organization is an important part of the grant writing process. I love this photo. This is a photo of RISD architecture alum Ming Wang's workspace as she was developing a grant for a project in Denmark. It highlights the importance of clever organization of all the puzzle pieces, which brings us to plan. Dedicate time to the process. Set internal deadlines that are earlier than the funders so you have no problem meeting their deadlines. Factor in time for support documents that are not in your control, like recommendation letters, offer letters, and transcripts. Build an archive of responses. Starting with a blank page can be overwhelming. Develop a way to keep track of your applications and essays so you can find and reuse materials that you have developed. Again, a simple Excel spreadsheet. Here I've listed the grants I've applied to along with keywords that I can then search on. So if a grant comes up where I want to highlight my language skills, I can search on keywords, find the grant application I submitted in which I address my language skills, Then go to the application document that I've saved, copy, paste, and revise as needed for the new grant I'm applying for. Moving on to develop. Grants are primarily about your exploration. And there's so many things you want to explore, right? Excellent. Be open. Think big. But then you are going to have to narrow and focus. Think less is more, especially considering the limited space you have to do it justice. To stand out in a competitive applicant pool to reviewers who are very busy, you will need to keep focused on a single topic. It is better to explore one idea and explain it effectively rather than introduce many ideas poorly. What are the 3 things you want reviewers to remember? 3, that's it. Study shows that humans really only remember 3 things. I know from this presentation, you will likely only take away 3 things. Write out the 3 things you really want to stand out in your application at the top of your working document and make sure they jump out. Make your activities and goals feasible. Consider your timeline and your funding carefully. Even if you think or even know it's possible, you don't want your reviewers to feel overwhelmed and question your ambition. A lot of activities, locations, players involved, or goals may not sound feasible. Make your case for why this specific grant or residency. Of course, everyone knows you're applying for different things. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. But you want your reviewers to feel like this is the perfect fit. If this could be any grant or residency or location or applicant, it's not so interesting. Make your unique case. All of this may seem confining and uncomfortable. There's so much you want to do and say, but know that your experience will be broader, deeper, and go in all kinds of directions you didn't expect. So how do you do this? How do you focus and formulate your ideas into a written proposal? It will happen through a process and with time. By tailoring to the grantor's mission, interest, and guidelines, through your project research, by working with a professor, a mentor, a grant recipient peer, a RISD career advisor, or the RISD Center for Arts and Language, and through lots of writing and brainstorming. In developing your project and proposal, you will need to hit what I call the W's plus. Who, what, where, why, when, and the pluses, how. How do you know? So what? We have a resource to help you through this process. If you go back to the RISD Careers website under Grants and Awards, at the bottom you will find a link to Proposal Development Considerations. This document may help you think through your answers to the W plus questions. It is, in a sense, a way to interview yourself. You can use these prompts as headers in your draft to help you focus and then delete later. I'm not going to review each prompt. You can review this on your own as you consider your unique projects and interests. But I will hit on a few key points. What is your learning objective? Clearly articulate what it is you want to learn and how you want to learn it through this opportunity. What is the context? Don't assume they know. Explain the process or materials or history, especially if the reviewers are not artists. For example, if your proposal is about Mongolian gears, a textile dwelling, you first have to explain what it is, maybe provide some history, its current roles, and the pros and cons. And likely you'll need to do this in a very short space, which is one reason why focusing on one thing that you can explain well is so important. Who cares? What makes this relevant? Why is this important to you, the funder, the community? For example, if you are interested in Italian puppets, great. But how do you get others on board? How do you speak to what is important to the grantor? Maybe by talking about why this traditional art form could continue to exist and should continue to exist, and actually has an even more important role in our technology-focused world. What is the connection? Why is it a good fit for their mission? Refer back to their wording. Make the connections for them. Don't make them guess or read between the lines. Why you? Show your path. Demonstrate that you've done your research and you are prepared, that you have the skills and experience to do this, but also show that there's room to grow and learn. If you are already there and you know everything, then why fund you? Show how this grant will move you forward. What is the impact? This is the so what. What difference will this grant make to you, the organization, the community? Usually they want to understand the impact in the short term. You could include intentions or contributions for the long term. Just be careful not to sound too grand. You might find that most of your questions about applying for a grant are answered with, it depends. And that's because your proposal is unique to you, your ideas, your project, your art and design, and all those involved. Now for many, the scariest step, writing. Applying will usually involve some writing. It might be one 250-word essay. It might be 15 250-word essays. Or it might be a complicated project you have to describe in only 2 pages and every word counts. For the most part, grant writing is not so much about being creative. It's about being straightforward and authentic. Here are some basic writing tips. Concise, yet compelling and with passion. Professional, yet in your own voice. Granters are not interested in overly edited writing. They want to hear from you. Get there faster. Don't wait until the end to tell us your goals. Those first 2 to 3 paragraphs are the most important. Show, don't tell. Instead of writing, I am a leader, I was president of X club, tell us how you led. Provide an example. Be accurate in spelling, grammar, and facts. Pay attention to the required formatting. You want a neat application package from beginning to end. You never want to annoy your reviewers with little things like typos or incorrect formatting. Clear and jargon-free. Know your audience. Don't use RISD lingo. Even be careful of discipline lingo. Again, consider that reviewers may not be artists or designers. Consider this statement. I will analyze the vernacular of built environment and corresponding visual hierarchy by investigating urban junctures, material patterns, and contextual wholes, comparing evolving typologies in order to identify infrastructural outcomes and develop responses to architectural vacancies that could affect the manifestation of spatial relationships and dynamics and of social practices and interactions while adapting for contemporary and historical perspectives. I actually wrote this just to make a point, but do consider what you write may make sense to you, maybe even to the RISD world, but it might not make sense to the outside world. You have to be more specific, and you can't rely on disciplined lingo to make your point. Here is a focused, specific statement of purpose summary from a successful RISD Fulbright applicant. To get there, I suggest write out a simple overview statement, the W's, at the top of your document and refer back to it. Consider every sentence counts. Why are you telling us this? Does it support your overview statement? Ask someone to read your work and then tell you what they think you are proposing. Does it match? Check your ending for important statements that should be at the beginning. This speaks to get there faster. Remember, you can't proofread your own work very well, and list others, ideally more than one, and ideally inside and outside your discipline. Word of warning though, try to get feedback early on in your process. Getting additional feedback at the end could throw you off. At the beginning, talk to lots of people and consider everyone's advice, but then make it your own. This is your proposal, your voice. Don't forget RISD Center for Arts and Language, an excellent resource for brainstorming or fine-tuning your proposal. And then it's time to submit. Set time aside for this process. Don't be rushed. Print and proof a hard copy with a red pen. Looking at your work in a different way off a computer is the best way to catch errors. Have all documents ready. Do not submit on the due date. Seriously, so many things can go wrong at the last minute. Grantors are dealing with way more applications than they can award. For example, Fulbright receives 10,000 plus applications for 2,000 awards. They will not make exceptions. Many grantors will actually warn you in the application to not submit on their due date and that they are not responsible for technical difficulties. Set an internal deadline to submit and stick to it. And then you wait. The wait can be fairly short or a really long time. Most take 1 to 3 months. The Fulbright wait is about 7 months. It is a test of patience. In the meantime, move on and apply for other things. Whether you receive the award or not, you will learn a great deal. Grant development is a character and skill building experience. You will learn from the process. You will learn from your mistakes, which you will make. I've made them all. You will learn about yourself and more about what you want to do or what you don't want to do. Equally important. And you will learn about other opportunities. The grant writing process itself may encourage you to leap to a lily pad you hadn't considered. Sometimes alumni come back to us and tell us, I didn't get that grant, but because of the work I did on that application, I applied and received this other grant or this job, or I made this new connection. Life is more like a pond of lily pads than it is a path. One jump leads to the other in various directions. It will not be a waste of time. A few final things to keep in mind. There's a lot of competition and only so many awards, but why not you? This is not free money. You do have to work for it. There are no special tricks or easy way around. Work through, not around. There are no have-tos. This is not homework. This is something you want to do. Try again. Most grantors encourage you to reapply, and if they remember you, they will appreciate your motivation and commitment. Grant writing is a process. Be patient and ask for help, especially if you haven't done this before or if it's a complicated grant. You can learn more by meeting with a RISD Careers Advisor. watching for opportunities in the RISD Careers e-news, and attending RISD Careers presentations like this one. Thank you, everyone. Do reach out to us for support. We are here and we are happy to help.